Hey everyone, welcome. So this video is all about complex tables. Now if you haven't had an opportunity to watch the other video that I've made on simple tables, I recommend you start there first before coming and watching this video on complex tables. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at a complex table. This complex table is showing how some of our cells will stretch to cover whether several rows or several columns. And when we stretch a cell in tables, we're using something called spanning. You'll notice that cell 1 spans across several rows, and cell 7 is spanning across several columns. Let's take a look at our Week 9 Demo Tables folder from Blackboard, and this time we're going to look at the complex HTML document. And I'm going to open up my preview and my CSS. I'll do a little rearranging to get things just right. We're going to be building this underneath our Start Your Complex Tables Here comment underneath the main element. And with tables, of course, we have to have a table element. So that's the best place to get us going. Now, keeping in mind that image that we were just looking at, we have a total of 7 cells. So we know we're going to need 7 table data cells or TD elements for this table. So we'll add all 7 of those right away without first adding a row. And we're going to number them as we go. Well, you can see in our preview, because we haven't given any real clarity to this whole table, it looks just like a row of table data cells. And I'm a big believer in seeing something in order to build it, so in order to make this visually work for us, I'm going to add a border around all of our table data elements. I also think adding a little bit of padding in these cells is going to make it a little bit easier to see. Okay, before we go to the next step for the rows, let's go back to that image again. Because we can see that we had 7 table data cells, or 7 cells, but there weren't 7 rows, there were actually only 5 rows. Well, we need to add the rows in order to make this table work, just like we had to add the cells. And we know there's only going to be a total of 5 table rows, so we can go ahead and create our 5 table rows. Let me scroll this up. All right. One more time, let's go back and look at that picture, but this time let's look at it with some little extra info. Using these lines, we can see where our 5 rows are, and we can see that cell 1 is actually spanning across 3 different rows. Now, when we build complex tables, the thing to keep in mind is we need to have an equal amount of cells in all of our rows and columns, or at least they need to add up to an equal number. For example, row 1 actually contains cell 1 and cell 2. Row 2 already has cell 1 in it, so it counts as 1 and it has cell 3. Row 3 still has cell 1 in it, and it has cell 4. Each time we're adding these up, it equals the same number. Row 1 has 2 cells, row 2 has 2 cells, row 3 has 2 cells, and so on. Every column has to have an equal number of cells also. Column 1 has the equivalent of 5 cells. So does column 2. Let's go back over into VS Code and add our cells into our rows. Knowing now that cell 1 is going to be in row 1, but so is cell 2. And when we get to row 2, we already have cell 1 in row 1, so we can't put it into row 2, but we can put cell 3 into row 2. Let's try it out. I'll move cell 1 and 2 into row 1. Then I'll move cell 3 into row 2. Cell 4 goes into row 3. Cells 5 and 6 go into row 4. And cell 7 is the only thing in row number 5. Well, our table still doesn't look like our picture does, and that's because now we need to put in 2 attributes to enforce the spanning that we were talking about, and we use Rowspan and Colspan. Now we know that cell 1 actually spans or takes up a total of 3 rows. That means when we're typing into our table data for cell 1, the attribute is Rowspan. And then the value is the total number of rows that that column needs to span. And notice as soon as I did that, now cell 1 is taking up row 1, 2, and 3, and cells 2, 3, and 4 take up the remainder of those rows. And as for number 7, that's going to be a Colspan because we're spanning 2 columns. So the same way that we said Rowspan is equal to 3, we're going to say Colspan is going to be equal to 2. I mean, looking at the picture, yes, the image is looking a little bit different than our preview does, and that's just because we didn't add any styles to it. We could add some background colors and center that text to make it look a little bit more like our example image, but it's really the structure of the table that I wanted to demonstrate in this video. So to focus a little bit more on this table, whenever you're trying to determine how you're going to split up a complex table, just remember that all of your rows need to have an equal number of cells and all of your columns need to have an equal number of cells. And if you need to span a cell to accommodate a space, you just count that as one of the numbers. So cell 1 and cell 2 made up one row, and then cell 7 made up 2 different columns. And that's all I'm going to talk about for the complex table side of things, but if you have any questions on this material, please don't hesitate to ask.